Hi, my name is Lara Johnson. I'm a certified life coach, and I am very excited that you're here. If you have clicked on this link, you are interested in learning 5 steps to make working from home with kids a little bit easier, which is exactly what we're going to dive into. I wanted to share a little bit about me. I have always had big dreams. I have always wanted to really be that go-getter and make it all happen. And when I started having kids, I realized there were some unique challenges by having a family as well as going after those dreams. So I put my dreams on hold for a little while. I still worked from home. There were still things that I wanted to do, but it wasn't as much as I wish I could do. And at that point, that's when I realized that what was really holding me back was I couldn't figure out how my dreams were possible while working from home. I felt like I had too many balls that I was juggling at the time. So I got to work. I got to work on figuring out exactly how to make it possible and how to make it work from home with my family. And that's exactly what I'm going to teach you with these 5 easy steps. So chances are you've been impacted by all that is going on in our world right now. And your children are probably home with you, either out of school, and not only are you still working, still, going after those dreams, but you're also being a teacher and a full-time caregiver, and that definitely has some challenges with it. So my goal is to help you juggle all of those balls that you have in the air right now. So the first tip that I wanted to share with you is something really simple, and I'm going to explain it. And that is make your bed. A lot of times when we're home and all of our kids are there, we know the chaos that happens. And it's crazy and kids are running and there's always some kind of demand. It feels as though we are not accomplishing anything. Most of the time we feel like we're taking 3 steps forward and then 3.5 steps backwards. Am I right? And you kind of step back and you look around and you realize your whole house has exploded in the process while you're still trying to get your work done. And it's that moment of that pull, like you know that there's things you need to do, but you know that you want to get that mess picked up as well. I want you to remember to make your bed first thing in the morning. The reason being is when that chaos starts to come up, our brain is going to look for evidence of all of the things we're not accomplishing. Being able to walk in your bedroom, even if the rest of it is messy, and seeing that your bed is made is that gentle reminder that, oh, I did something today. And you will feel that shift over something so small that takes, 10 to 30 seconds just to pull the covers up and set some pillows up. That will help keep you grounded with all the chaos that is going on. Make your bed. It takes a couple seconds and you will automatically feel that sense of accomplishment and you will recenter. The next thing is something else that's really simple. And it's put your pants on. And you're going to think I'm crazy for this, but I promise there is some deliberate thinking behind the craziness. When I think about putting pants on, I think about the time after I had my first baby. I was a brand new mom. I was working from home for the very first time. And I was so excited to have this opportunity, to progress in what I thought was the career path that I wanted at the time. But as we all know, we're all moms here. Having a new baby has its challenges. And I found myself living in my robe. When rightfully so. I mean, I just had a baby. But it kept going on for a long time, where I didn't really get out of my robe. And I remember at one point thinking, okay, I can't figure out how to shower, how to eat, how to care for a baby. He really didn't sleep very much, and it was very challenging. I'm sure you can all relate. But I remember thinking, I can put my pants on. I can get out of my robe and just put my pants on. So I started taking just one notch, something as simple as that, at putting my pants on. Let me back up. After I had my second baby, I started recognizing that same pattern. I really just don't like clothes. I really like my robe, and you haven't figured out by the story yet. But after my second baby, I started seeing that same pattern start to come up. And I remember thinking, oh, it's time for me to put my pants back on. Oh my goodness. And I started getting out of my, at the time, like I had at least progressed a little bit. I was in my Holy Comfy pants. I had progressed a little bit to those, but I realized I needed to take it another step. So I started putting my pants on. And you know what happened? My dog noticed the difference. I had a really big yellow lab at the time, and every single time I put my pants on, his tail started wagging. It was the cutest thing. He even knew that something was different when I put my pants on. And when I started doing that, I showed up differently. I was more committed and more prepared mentally for the task that was at hand, and work became easier. Even my dog recognized that I mean business. It's the same thing with our kids as well. Our kids will recognize a difference when we put our pants on. It sounds so simple. Now, for some people, this may not be the thing. For some people, it may be, putting a bra on. It may be, putting some mascara on, or, whatever it is for you. Think of your comfy clothes and take it up one notch. When we are working from home, especially with all of our kids being home, all of the days start to blur together. You will lose track of time. You'll feel like you're in this space continuum, like you don't know which way is up. Sometimes the only difference is how we dress when we're not leaving the house. And when we're able to show up in a different way based on how we're dressed, it becomes easier to do the role that we have. So on my days, like a Saturday, when I am just home and I'm doing cleaning and yard work, I am dressed differently for that role. During the week when I'm working, I am dressed for that role. Even when, at night when I'm done working, I change my clothes. It's that division of time that it creates in my brain of this is when I'm doing this task and this is when I'm doing the other. The next thing to focus on is alternating activities, and I'll explain what that means. If you think about your kids' school right now, every 30 to 60 minutes they're alternating whatever it is they're doing. If you have older kids, it's about the same thing. They have their class periods every 60 or so minutes, and there's a reason for that. Not only is it healthy for our children, but it's also healthy for ourselves. When we block out times of, 4 hours that we just need to fill with our kids, we need to entertain, we need to work, everything's kind of in this big old jumbled mess. When we think of every other activity, it becomes a little easier to mentally plan and to incorporate childcare into the process of working from home. So the way that I do it with my children is every other task or every other activity, I spend a few minutes with them. This can feel overwhelming because most of the time we think when we're spending time with our kids, it's an hour, making a meal. I should be sitting down and coloring with them and doing crafts. And working from home with your kids, that's not always the case. When I think of every other, I think about how easy it is for me to come and focus on them for 10 minutes. Just 10 minutes. I know that you're probably checking your phone while you're in the bathroom for longer than that. 10 minutes with your kids. It doesn't take long. And when I do 10 minutes of focusing on them in between another activity, they are more likely to do that next activity without as many demands. This may look like, for me, it's in the morning, they're watching TV and getting dressed and doing those things. And at 9 o'clock is when I start my work. After I've, been out there with them and helped get them ready for the day. As they are, once I start my work, they have some activity that they're doing. I plan about 30 to 60 minutes for that activity mentally. And then I go back out and check on them and help them transition to the next one. So when you go every other, make sure that you're remembering that you can be there in between those transitions. And being present for them doesn't take a long time, but it allows them to feel connected to you, which is our next step of create connection. And again, oftentimes we think that this takes a long time, when in reality, this can happen in an instant. We can go out and focus on them for an instant, and they get their cup filled as well as you. The most important thing when creating connection is to be looking for clues. And you can look for these clues as you're alternating these activities. So some of these, and the reason why we're looking for clues in our kids is because they are expert at telling us what they need in that moment. When we fill that need, we are then able to remove ourselves for a time and get some work done. Some of the clues for me, I recognize very clearly in my daughter. My daughter just turned 6 years old. She's kind of tall for her age, and when she gets needy, or I guess when I start getting snippy and I think that she's being needy, it's usually because she's crawling on me. Like I will sit down for a minute to have a conversation, and I swear she's like climbing up my arms and on my head, and it is the most annoying feeling to me. I get so, even thinking about it, I get really irritated by it. And when I'm in the right mindset and when I am thinking about, oh, what are the clues? What is she telling me in this moment? I know that she is seeking connection, and I can create that for her. This does not happen over a 30-minute period. I mean, if I have 30 minutes at the time, I can. But a lot of times this looks like something like she's climbing on me, and instead of turning and yelling at her, I'll turn and like growl at her and make it into a game where I chase her for a few minutes. Or I can stick my hands out and, tickle her belly, and that is just an immediate connection that she feels with me. The same thing happens with my older son. Most of the time, he starts pecking at his sister. And we're all moms. We all know what that pecking looks like, where you want to just smack him across the head. Like, just leave her alone. When that starts to happen, I know immediately he is seeking connection. He is seeking some attention from me. Same thing. I can go and I can scold him and have consequences and timeouts and things that are taken away. Or I can turn around and I can remember he's seeking connection, and I can create that in an instant. Or I can look at him and start chasing him and growling and playing with him for just a moment. And suddenly the entire room will shift, and you will see that difference in your kids, but you'll also see it in yourself. You become that more playful mom that you want to be, instead of the one that is actually growling at them. We know what that looks like. We've all done it. The last tip that I have for you is to stop the should train. Now, do you remember on let's see, I'm trying to think. It's like Toy Story, where they're riding a train. I mean, it happens in lots of cartoons, of the kid cartoons, where all of a sudden this train is going full steam. And suddenly you look out and there's a bridge, and that train is going to fall to utter destruction. That's exactly what's happening when you ride the should train. When you ride the should train, you are looking forward to imminent death. Nothing good comes when we should ourselves. A lot of times these shoulds are very sneaky. I should spend more time with my kids. This is a time that they're home, and I should enjoy it. When you take a moment and step off of the should train, it will feel scary. It will feel in some way that you're letting go of good expectations that you should live up to. But every time we're on that should train, our anxiety is going to be worse. We're going to be yelling more at our kids. We all have been in that experience where where all of a sudden our kids ask us something and it's like we hit the ceiling with our reaction. It's so big that you often wonder, like, where in the world did that come from? Again, that is a clue that you are already on the should train, my friend. Take a deep breath and step away from it. Oftentimes, this will look like saying to yourself, I am doing the best I can, and that's enough. It's okay that I have tasks I want to do separate from my children. My children are learning how to be independent. These are the kinds of things that we can practice as we are working from home with our kids. So the last thing I wanted to share with you is just a bonus tip. You can be creative and have so much fun. We hear all the time in the media like that we're surviving working from home and that it's really hard and the kids are out of school and it feels really heavy. I'm here to tell you that it can be so rewarding and so much fun. When I start practicing these things and I'm alternating activities and I'm being really creative, it is so much fun being able to see what happens not only in me, but also in my kids. Sometimes being creative and having fun means I'm sitting working on my laptop while my kids are drawing on my legs with washable markers. It's like their most favorite thing to do. The other day, I also invited my oldest son. He was curious, like, why he needed to go to bed one night. And so I invited him in and I showed him my website and I showed him the videos I've been creating in my Facebook group and I showed him, the community that I had created and the trainings that I was doing, and all of a sudden he wanted to be supportive of that and he went to bed. There are so many creative things that we can do to open up the world for us while we're working from home. We're not only able to teach our kids what's possible, but we're able to fulfill our dreams and to do that while being home. Take these 5 steps and be creative with them and recognize that all of this is possible and all of it can be very rewarding. I am here for you. I am excited that you have come to this place to be part of this community. Please reach out to me for any questions that you have. I want to be there to support you through this process. I look forward to talking to you soon.